Mack and Cook are Lizzie Mack and Murray Cook, who are two of the best credentialed musical artists in the land. As a duo, they released their first single, Time Goes By, last year, and their latest single is A Sign of the Times. And they've been playing a lot, and they have more gigs coming up, so I have a few things to ask them about. Hello, Lizzie, and hello, Murray.
Hello,
Hello,
Sophie. Good to see
good to
you.
see you.
Good to see you again. And you are, in fact, as we're speaking, in the middle of a run of shows. You have the dates somewhat spaced out, but you have been playing a few. And some of the shows you've already played were at the Up Music Festival. And Lizzie, you are from WA. Had you played at the festival before?
We've played the Nanuk Festival. That was our fourth time, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So actually one of the first festival we started playing. Obviously, it's good to have a few connections back home still. And we were pretty festival rookies probably the first year that we played Nanuk.
Well, it was even before the first album came out, I think.
Yeah, we hadn't
The
done
first
anything
Soul
yet.
Movers
And
album.
we were
So
still using half of Radio Birdman at that stage. Cycling. Pip Boiler and Keys. So it was a really good experience, but I would say the second last experience playing with a band on like we're headlining on both the Friday and Saturday nights. I think Liz Stringer played before us and then Will Crichton played before us. We're like, really? We're headlining both big nights and it was phenomenal. But this time we came over as little old Mac and Cook or Mac and Cheese, as we like to call ourselves. So people don't get
that
too
makes me
excited.
that
Get on
makes
your
me the cheese, I
no, it
think.
makes him the red that goes with the cheese. But that was a very different experience. It was great. We're still getting a head around the stand and deliver side of Mac and Cook. Like you still, there's a part of you that expects to turn around and hear these massive drums and, be swept up by the combination of, organ and, all that great stuff. But it has been really good for our chops and especially for us getting to know the material that we've put out because like 15 years and four albums we've written together and 50 or so songs have never really been played live because they're not bouncy and big and in your face enough for a big festival stage.
So that was kind of part
So
of the reason behind Mac and Cook was just to do something a bit different, and it gives us the flexibility to play songs we wouldn't play with the band.
it
Yeah.
also gives us a chance to be a little bit more political and a bit more personal, if you want to use
Mhm.
that segue into from the time factor is also something we noticed that's in both of the only songs that we've dropped as Mac and Cook too,
Lizzie, you're
because it
taking all
was
my questions from me. Do I not noted that? I was like, we have a certain,
English
yes, time
teacher.
goes by. But clear, no, please go
So
because I was going to ask it. Go with the time because I was going to ask, was it
time's
like a
ticking.
subconscious thing, or was it actually you looked at the songs you'd written and thought, oh yeah, we are interested in this theme.
I think we might as well make a triptych at this stage because I guess the other thing is time is definitely not on our side so much these days as human beings, but in a way we have done great service to music, especially Murray with his 3 decades of wiggling, and time is still urgent whether you're in your 20s or whether you're in your 50s or 60s because what is this world we're living in now?
So
It's
I think we didn't sort of necessarily sit down and go, let's just write songs about time. But it wasn't lost on us that both of them had that element. And they're looking at time in different ways, though, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
very
and it's that
true.
thing where, because Lizzie, as you were saying, your time's not on your side, but at the same time, pardon unintended, there is that, as I said at the top, you're both so well credentialed, and the richness that comes into songwriting and performing live and being able to stand and deliver when you have that experience is not something actually that a younger artist can have. And so, from an audience's point of view, this is gold. So, and it's that whole thing of, well, yeah, maybe there's not as much. Well, there still may well be as much time ahead of you as there has been behind you. So yeah, I think as artists, you just if you keep playing, you stay curious, which you obviously both are, then you keep developing.
That's true, and
That's
I
right.
think I think when I first finished up with the Wiggles, it was kind of announced that we were retiring, and I think people just expected me to go off and play golf or something. But I think as musicians, you never really retire. I think most music, even some that have retired from touring, like Elton John and people like that, are not actually retiring from music altogether. They're just retiring from
Yeah.
one sort of element of it, and that's kind of what I did. And I love playing live. I know myself. With the Wiggles,
He
I did.
lights up.
Yeah, it's really my happy place on
It's going
stage.
to keep him alive for a long time. He's still playing guitar. Mr. Murray. I think the other thing is too, you forget when younger artists see you play live. Like we met a lovely girl called Layla, which you'll hear more about. She's a young Canberran, and she's working very hard at her craft. Is she early 20s?
I think so.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah,
just 20,
yeah, yeah.
And she played on the Enlightened Canberra stage before us sometime and then came and saw our set. And we came off stage, and of course, there's the long line of people waiting to do selfies with Murray and that other girl. And Layla was in the line, and she still had that shell-shocked look, which is kind of funny to see because you're up there doing a job, and yeah, it's a bit wild, but you come off stage and you're just a normal person, and she just was like, "You were amazing!" Like the glow was still in her eyes. I think I got a bit excited too because the Kaleen Whiskey exhibition was in the side of the National Gallery as I was walking on stage, and they've got Wonder Woman, Kathy Freeman, Tina Turner, all these amazing kind of powerhouse leotard wearing, amazing outfits. And I'm like, not bad. I got my white boots and my go dance. And I'm like, I feel like I've escaped from Kaleen Whiskey's artwork,
Yeah.
and then boom, on stage.
This
So
was with the band,
yeah.
which
So I
is a bit
think
wilder.
the impact also too when you're with a big band is that you can go big. You can go big visually. Like Murray's, woo, you should see his regalians. He's got his big red jackets and his stripy pants, and there's a little bit of Rolling Stones in there too. But I guess the thing is, like anything, if you're a surgeon or whatever, it's how many times you've done something. When it's hundreds of times, we don't get stage fright. I went to say stagecraft fright. It just feels very worn in shoes to us. But of course, that means we can do more on stage because there's nothing really holding us back. Like I regularly crack myself up at my own jokes when we were doing the 5, 6, 7, 8. And I just started
For those who
laughing,
are
going, "Oh,
listening and not watching,
I
Murray is
should,
making a face of
I
agreement
should,
there.
I should probably get on with the
I
show."
was going to say at least someone was laughing at them.
I really don't
We
care.
were, we were, we amuse each other as much as
Laughing.
yeah,
So
we
yeah,
amuse each other as much as the audience, I
yeah,
think.
we do. We have moments of amusement and self-amusement.
Yeah.
Well, I
Anyway,
look the
question.
confidence when you're experienced performers and as you said, Lizzie, you don't get stage fright. That confidence that comes on stage can't be bottled, can't be bought, can't even be taught, actually. And
Yeah,
it is like an X factor, I guess, for live performance. And all I know someone who's been to a lot of live shows is that whenever performers come on stage and they're confident in themselves and you can tell that they're going to enjoy it, the audience just goes, oh, they relax. They know
yeah,
that the
it's have
performers have
fun.
it, and that's worth a huge amount.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Sophie. It's nice to be reminded of the things we've achieved
Yeah.
on
It's funny when you're in it.
Chicken heels.
It's funny when you're in it when it's you, because with the Wiggles, I did something like 7,000 shows, like
Oh,
literally.
Murray, that just makes me feel
Oh,
tired
So
listening to it.
oh,
yeah, so it's like sometimes you do things on stage just automatically, but you forget that it was a learned thing that you
yeah,
actually did learn it. It is like anybody who's a professional
yeah.
person, they've learned something,
Yeah.
and at some
Learning
point
how
they
to
didn't.
fall over.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
at some point they didn't know how to do it, and,
yeah,
and then they've had lots of practice and they can do it without thinking. So I guess that is true. They talk about the 10,000 hours. We're probably both at
yeah.
something like that.
And then some. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember someone saying it's not just 10,000 hours of practice, it's 10,000 hours of correct practice. So it's that thing of,
yeah,
yeah, you could just show up on stage for 10,000 hours. Maybe you'd be a certain type of performer, but actually doing it with the right intention for the audience. And I think it's that also learning to get out of your own way a lot with any kind of creative act or art is actually that practice you have. The more you do it, the more you just like, nope, we're stepping out of our way here. Any doubts, we're putting them aside. We're performing here and we're going to bring a show to the audience.
And I always think the most important people in the whole equation are the audience. When I'm on stage, it's you're doing it for them, and if they're not responding, you've got to work out in your head why. But sometimes you think they're not responding, and then they get to the end of the song and they all applaud really loudly. So, especially with what we're doing now, because it's just the two of us. And we realize that people are really listening because some of the songs have got
taking it so
some funny,
seriously.
some of the songs have got some funny lyrics, and you
You
can
can,
hear them laugh. You can hear them laugh. So
you can move into comedy,
it's
she thinks.
thought we were
Not with Murray.
already.
But it's
So
funny
Lizzie,
that the
you
one thing that you
sorry.
do realize as you get, more seasoned performances is how critical things like set lists and things like that are, like just
Preparation, yeah.
preparation. You got to learn it the hard way as a performer. You've actually got to make your own mistakes and then make your own performance, probably.
Yeah, but I think saying, the amount of time you put into making that set list, that's the invisible work of doing it really, really well too, because anyone in the
Right.
audience just seeing a set list is thinking, oh, they might have just sat down and, done it in 5 minutes, but that whole consideration of the instrument changes and whatnot. But also, Lizzie, you said early on
Mm.
about learning to perform as a duo and sometimes looking over your shoulder for the band. And I did have a question about that, which was because for those who aren't aware, you were in the Soul Movers together. That's when you first started performing. And yeah, I would think it is just this adjustment of not just, oh, where are the other instruments, but how do we stand on stage? Like, how do we actually move around the stage? We have more room on the stage because there's two of us and not more of us. So has it
What stage
been,
we're on?
Yeah.
We've had
how's
some
that been
seasons.
for you?
Yeah, it's funny because I still hear the drums in my head. We've worked with some amazing drummers, and I still hear the drums in my head. And sometimes I actually sing the drum roll because then it counts me and Murray back in after an instrumental or something. I go do 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 like this, and off we go. I'm like Lizzie drum machine. Murray wants to say
Oh,
something.
no, I was just going to say, and Lizzie sort of hinted at it. We kind of, one of the reasons we did this was to play on smaller
Mm,
stages that
okay.
we couldn't play with the band. So that's been good. But then when you get to a festival stage, which is bigger,
Yippee!
but you do have to kind of think about it a
Yeah.
little bit more. So quite often on the little stages, because there's not much room, we'll sit on stools and do, the folky kind of thing. Even though there's a bit of rock, I'll usually stand up. But on the
No,
bigger stage,
no.
we did move
We
around a bit more.
yeah,
And
we stood
yeah,
up for all the shows.
yeah, we stood up for all.
Murray always comes off for every stage going, I think we should stand up for all our shows. And I just agree with him and go, yeah, absolutely. And then we're in this thing the size of a telephone box and we're like, we're not going to be standing up here.
Yeah.
You got to, doesn't matter what you prepare for, doesn't matter. Like that's the thing I think that people don't understand about performing is you get up and they haven't wired your
The
your
monitors.
monitors through your wedge and you're asking for your what's it
Vocal?
yeah, vocal be turned up, sorry. And they're turning up your backing vocalist and she's getting louder and louder and louder. And you're struggling even more to hear yourself. You can't pitch. You got a finger in your ear. The sound guy's chatting away, having a ball with three mates up the back,
This
just
was
chipping.
at one of the festival shows.
I'm
Yeah, it
like,
was kind of towards the end of the festival. I think they'd all sort of clocked off a bit.
so
I
yeah, there's
actually,
all
when
that.
I go to when I go to gigs, I often keep an eye on the sound desk to see if the sound is actually anywhere in proximity because you can sometimes see artists going, I need this, I
Oh
need that.
Well,
no.
that's the other thing with the new technology because they all have a lot of them now have iPads and you can actually mix on the iPad. So there is a mixer.
Oh,
And so
but
sometimes
where's
you're going,
Waldo?
where's the sound guy? Is he still here? And he's sitting down on the ground. That happened in Canberra. He was,
Find him. They should be wearing white and red striped shirts so you
it
can
is.
see him in the cloud. Like, where's my sound guy? Here he
Well,
is.
that's right, because you
But
might want
anyway,
to talk to this person. Yeah.
yeah,
And
there
now
are
you
lots
mentioned
of those.
you
Sorry.
have some other dates coming. We've got a little bit of a Wi-Fi breakup at the moment, but we're going to persevere. It's the time of night when everyone's jumping onto stream shows, I think.
They're
Um,
all on Netflix.
you have a few more shows coming up in New South Wales, Victoria, and the ACT, and then you're also heading to Broadbeach in May. I saw. So
Yes.
you
Oh, right.
you're mapping out the year.
Yeah, we just thought we'd get it all done. Like we're actually recording this Saturday single with this Murray and the Movers, Dirty Laundry, and then nicking off to Spain and doing some shows and just a
In
few
June.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just,
June, July.
yeah.
But so therefore we're like we're going to take our eyes off the road. We might as well just get the whole year done. There will be festivals and things like that coming through, but we kind of just wanted to see it right through to December. So we're off to Smith's Friday, March 27th.
In Canberra, which
Yeah.
is a great venue. We've played there quite a few times, and
And
it's
Layla's going to be
beautiful.
opening for us,
Yeah,
a lovely new friend. The Impy, we're actually doing a Byron Blues Fest support slot at the Imperial Hotel in Wollongbar.
Seeing Blues Fest is gone.
Blues Fest
Mm.
is gone, but the people that were planning on going to Byron still, a lot of them
Some
are
might be
keeping their
still there.
tickets.
Yeah.
So the music hounds are going to be looking for something half decent to go listen to. We've actually had a couple of artists through our agent who lives up there, who were on the Blues Fest program. Uh, I just said, look, if you want to hop up and sing a few songs so you're not brokenhearted all weekend, because no one picks up a show that quickly, well, only a few people. Please join us. We've got a 3 hour set where we need to populate and it will keep it more interesting. But yeah, so that will be a really good one. Then we're back here at the Palomino.
Palomino in Sydney, which is a walk.
Let's
It's around
look at it.
the. It's a walk around the corner for me. So I'll just get my trolley with my gear on it and walk around.
End of
Very
May,
good.
Yeah.
really looking forward to Dendivine because it's Broadbeach, new venue, playing with Ollie Toohill and the Gypsy Bandits, and
So that's with our band. So
that's
which is
yeah.
now called Murray and the Movers because we
Oh, is
weren't
it
playing that much soul music.
right?
So
Yeah, I did have a
normally the
question
song
about
movers.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
You
because
can't get a word in with Sophie. There's two
I'd
of us, you know.
noticed, I'd
Words.
know, yeah, I had noticed that it had a name change, but that now makes sense if it's not so much soul music anymore. And of course, you are moving in this direction. And I am going to ask you more about the new single, which is a sign of the times. And it is a song with a particular intention, and I'm wondering if that intention was there when you started writing it, or what actually was the initial spark for it.
It was a definite discussion that happened just after Christmas, early in the New Year. And I was saying, look, now that we are, maybe, writing some of our last songs, we've been saying that for a few years. There's something that really bothers me, and Murray was involved in the Yes campaign, that we have not seen more movement towards a fair and equitable, and it doesn't matter how small it is to start with, that we can agree on just a few things and get this process started.
Closing the gap and
Treaty, yeah,
reconciliation and treaty
Hmm.
yeah, little things like Australia Day. Like we've done quite a few interviews in the last few weeks, and one of them came up with a lovely Lady Vida at Adelaide Community Radio, which is the first community radio station in Australia, actually. And she was saying, look, if we can't agree on Australia Day being moved,
she's an Indigenous woman too, so
she,
she had
yeah, she was a really interesting
yeah.
perspective, very gentle woman. Then how can we do anything bigger than that? And she's like, January 1st would be a great day for us, because that was the day
The
all this
Federation. Yeah.
day of federation, all the states were amalgamated. It was about joining together. And I went,
Mm,
well, if that doesn't encapsulate what you would hope to try to achieve, finding a new date, finding a date, Australia was became, all the states were joined together. That sounds great to me. Why don't we just go with that? Because any date's going to be contentious, but of course it's New Year's Day. You know what? New Year's Day, let's get it out of the way. Let's get it out of the way and get on with it because, the mate stuff and the Australia Day, she just said the most important thing for us is that we actually need that date to be a day of mourning for us because we lost our country. And it's very insensitive of us to not think about it any other way. It was the day of colonization and their treaty, their territory was stolen without any kind of fair negotiations. They had guns, basically. That's why
mm,
we're still here. So I
So
just went, look, if we could start by keeping that ball rolling just a little bit on behalf of this one interview request that we had, could you help us? As allies, could you help us just communicate that one thing? Little things, big things grow, great song. It's
mhm.
not a little thing for them. So I just think we'll do whatever we can in our short lifetimes to try to rectify some of the things that they are asking
And
for.
I guess it's also us sort of urging other people just to think about
Oh,
it
yeah, you do
and think
get
about
involved.
and the Indigenous community do love having non-Indigenous allies. They call us allies,
Mm.
and that it gives them hope. And there's still a
That we
lot to be done.
care.
I think too, because looking back, we remember Gough pouring the sand into Vincent Lignari's hands. I remember. Yeah, the apology, the sorry day where people walked across the bridge,
I remember the
Marvo, all
shopping.
those things.
So it was just phenomenal
But
that we achieved that. But since then,
But
you
it's
know,
yeah, it's
not so much.
so I think there's still a lot of work to be done, and I think my take from it is it's also let's unite and do it. Like
Yeah,
the Indigenous people want us to help them,
yeah,
and their culture is so rich and such a big part of our culture
yeah.
that I think a lot of white Australians don't really realise how important it is to our country. And I think we should be celebrating it much more. And we are beginning to. And I think that there's some heartening signs, but there's a lot to do.
Yeah, we need to learn from their activities being a mob to become a bit more, let's do this together, we can achieve this together, attitude because we are quite separate, you know. I was really, really happy to see at the Invasion Day rally in Sydney in the Domain that I would say 60% of the people at the rally were under 30
Mhm.
from the Australian people, you know, the white Australians that were there, and they were passionate and they were there and they meant business. So for me, that was a great indicator because I went, okay, if they're 30 now, they're not going to be standing up, you know, putting up with this in 20 years. It'll be done. It's got to be
Mhm.
So
done.
it's heartening.
I
Yeah.
did speak to some of the organizers and I just said, this year feels like a good year to really achieve something. And everyone said, yeah, if this year feels special to us as well, you know. There was a lot of hugs, a lot of tears, and then a lot of just why the hell, if 85% of Australians want a treaty, aren't our representatives, because they are meant to represent what we want, doing anything
Mhm.
about it. It's very disempowering for people that you know have big voices and feel and can get stuff done to sit there and keep swallowing this feeling of complete quicksand. You know, it's like it's just so frustrating.
And for me too, I think Rob Hurst's
Mm,
passing was really hit me pretty hard. I knew Rob, not he wasn't a close friend, but I knew Rob, and it just got me thinking too. This was actually after we'd written the song, but it got me thinking about the voice that Midnight Oil have had in
mm.
our culture and how important that is, and how and he wrote most of those lyrics, so a
It
lot of people
belongs
didn't
to
know that.
them. Why don't we give him? We need to give it
So
back.
I
You know,
think
we've been thinking that for decades.
that
You
you
know.
know it does art does change people's minds. Songs change people's
Mm.
minds. Literature does. So I think
But then
it's
action.
important.
We need action.
Yeah.
Well, and Murray, again,
Yeah.
you answered the question before I had a chance to ask it because I was going to say about the role of art and the artist in not just conveying stories, but also doing what you've done in this song, which is conveying a point of view. And I guess maybe
Thank
it's
you.
something that's traditionally belonged to folk music, or people might think it belongs to folk music, and therefore is
Yeah.
not necessarily in the mainstream, at least in Australia, because a lot of what's on the radio is not that. But
Yeah.
it has long been, the role of the artist to be a social
Yeah.
commentator.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
growing up in the 60s too, I was a kid in the 60s and I was aware of, protest songs and songs about Vietnam
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And I think, a band like Midnight Oil and Red Gum and some of those bands really sort of carried that mission on. Paul Kelly does it too. Yeah, so it's something we haven't done. I always say that the Wiggles were kind of political
Mm.
because
We had
we were
Christine, we
putting
had
out
Belinda
yeah
voices.
we always had different voices from different cultures and I think we've tried to keep doing that so it's not as much a leap perhaps as we
Mm.
first thought and I've been thinking about that lately and I think just empowering kids and getting them to think about lots of different things and pro-social kind of ideas um, you know is pretty woke, really. So, and I say that as a good thing.
Well, actually, I mean, I think it's a political act to credit children with the intelligence to be discerning about art, which is what the Wiggles did,
Yeah,
basically. Because I do think, there is so much condescension towards children generally, not necessarily in books, but in some art forms or even just in life generally. It's like, oh, kids, like they don't really know anything. It's like children are incredibly astute, which
Oh
is
no.
why the
oh yeah,
Wiggles have
yeah,
endured for so long
yeah.
because the songwriting was there, because the performance was there. So yeah, I think yes, I agree with you on that score. The Wiggles political political act towards children.
Absolutely. Get them started young, I reckon.
Yeah.
I don't know if Murray's got any response to that.
No, no, no. I think I'm just putting it out there. We're never party political, even though I
No.
could probably we all had fairly strong views, but that wasn't it wasn't our role.
No, and
Oh, yeah,
then, no, and that's
I
definitely not the lyrics.
agree
I
on
think it's yeah,
that.
it's more just it's a statement. It is a statement, I think, to credit children with
Yeah.
discernment and intelligence. But when it comes to Sign of the Times, when did you write it and when did you record it?
For me, I agonized over the lyrics, and Murray was starting to worry about me because there was so much I needed to say, and it was a classic case of, as an English teacher, I had to kill my darlings, but I killed so many of them that I was like, oh, I was chopping half a verse into the other half a verse, and I was like, I'm okay with this. I'm okay that a song can really only deliver one clear message, so it's got a frame. If we look back and see the road behind us, we can see these achievements. But if we look forward, we can't see anything. We feel like we're driving backwards and looking forwards for support for moral integrity as a country. And all I thought is, I need to let the stolen generation know, who are still alive with us today, who have suffered so much, that we want this for them, that we want them to know that there are better days and brighter days ahead. And it's funny because only a couple of weeks ago I went down to Coogee Beach, and there was, in the South End pool, about eight Aboriginal kids that had come from back of Burke. And I realised that by chatting with one of the guys who was up on the railings just watching everything. And I went out, I went, are they your kids making our pool look good like this? And he went, yeah, they're ours. That's Lacey. That's that. And then the names came out. And I was like, wow, I've been hanging around here for a couple of decades now. And I was like, pools never looked so good, mate. It's so great to see them, just splashing and playing and in there with us. We don't have enough contact with you guys, especially in the eastern suburbs. And he was like, yeah, well, we're out here doing this program at Marrickville Sports, and 60 of us have come down to be part of it. And that means families come with them, which is smart. You don't just send the kids. And I said, I'm so excited for all the opportunities that are going to happen now, because Burke, there's nothing out there for kids really. They look like they knew their way around a bombie. They were jumping off the end of the pool and doing lots of different styles, showing me the drop, showing me the starfish, showing me. And I'm like, you've done a lot of this, but not in salt water. And I said, well, they got theatre, they got dance, they got this, there's got a whole lot of corroboree, bro, like this. And we're just chatting, leaning on this bar together. But I had a lump in my throat the whole time because I was just so happy, sad, wild, excited to have them in our community, to
Mhm.
be there watching the beauty of their kids growing up and knowing there's hope for the future. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm
So
14th generation Australian, and I haven't had enough contact with the owners of this country. That's just the way it is.
So
It
yeah,
needs to
there was a lot to
change.
say in the lyrics, and Lizzie did revise them over and over, and the music actually came pretty quickly, which I really loved about it too. We kind of had the
Yeah,
bones of
the
the song
song
really
itself
quickly.
was a fast
Yeah,
birth. Yeah,
the last few things we've written actually have been pretty quick. So yeah,
must be getting better at it.
Well, and actually, in
Or
terms of
our
the
standards have
songwriting,
dropped.
the songwriting process now, when it's just the two of you. So with the band, has there been, or have there been more than two songwriters involved in the Soul Movers, now Murray and the Movers songs? So has it been an adjustment of songwriting?
Yeah,
no, not really. There have been a
we've been
few.
generous in the past.
Yeah, but some of the other, like Mark A
They,
was involved in some things, and we have had other songs, but
we've
mostly,
always invited people
yeah,
to
and we've had
participate.
on
If
the
they put
our
a little bit of a song in, we'll give them a credit for
and the
sure.
last album we do a couple of things, but mostly it's just been Lizzie. It's kind of been our vision, and we're the two constants
We're the
through
drivers.
since we've been making music together.
To
So
make a song, you've got to have an idea, and all of my ideas get recorded into the old trusty iPhone. And because I get up so early, the ideas seem to come between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. for me. So
Right.
I'm also the early bird of the band. He's more of a night owl. So I would say, without the phone and without my early birding, there probably would be no songs, because
So like by 2 a.m., do you mean that you
they
get up at 2 a.m.?
that's the time I can come off stage and be winding down and, washing all the crap out of my hair in some hotel room shower, because I hate sleeping with a filthy hairspray hair. It's just funny things that you get used to over the, course of doing it for long periods of time. And that can often trigger the wee hours is, that's when they drop in and you might get a whole chorus and a verse and sometimes the bridge by the time I'm telling Murray. So it's just easy to catch them even though I'm half asleep, and that's probably why they're knocking.
And then we do have some songs like the one we're working on now that came out of
More
just
construction. So
just us sitting around and me playing some guitar and Lizzie singing or me just fiddling about something and her going, "What's that? What's that?" I said, "Oh, I'm
yep,
just
that
making
does
it up." So
happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
That
there's a
does
bit of
happen.
both.
And so the recording process, Murray, are you producing the songs or do you have a producer you're
No,
working
no,
with?
both are. No, we both produce together. Yeah,
Kind of produced with Stu Geddes from 301 because he's our little sound buddy too. We
yeah.
always ask him for, this is what we're trying to do. What do you think, Stu? So he's been a big part of what we've done the last 4 years,
Yeah,
5 years.
but these two Mack and Cook songs, we came up with the arrangements and what where to put what to put where, like
Yeah.
mandolin on
He's a
Time Goes
string
By.
master, like the amount of layering and different sounds because he's got so many guitars. Like he whipped out the lap steel today, and I was like, "Ooh, love that old case! Wow, what's that?" It's got all the cool stuff on it, and
They all do different
they
things,
all do different things. They're like
as I tell my wife.
that little that protective, and he's got plans to be drawing all over it. And so the next one, Dirty Laundry for the Murray and the Movers, it will be fun because I don't know if we'll be having keys on it. We've invited our keys guy at the moment for him to be part of the process because it is creative and it's fun. And if something pops up and we like it, we'll keep it. But this is probably more guitars on a song than we've done before.
Taking control.
Well, of course, Murray, this begs the question, how many do you travel with when you're touring?
Uh, Only
You-
three, I think, usually
This is
two or
good,
three.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
with
is
with this lineup, I have just one acoustic and one electric. But yeah, I have been known to have many more on stage. So.
We're playing Beatles Fest this year, and I said you should just take some of the amazing guitars and just put them around the stage, have a little show and tell, because I'm sure he's got quite a few Beatles era
Yeah,
guitars.
really a couple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we might, Bathurst isn't too far of a drive. They won't get too bumpy on the way out there. I think we should do a bit of a show and tell.
So
Yeah.
the lap steel's not hit the road yet?
No, it's been in its case for a few years, so I haven't actually pulled it out. So
They couldn't work out how to open it today. That was
I
funny.
know it's
Oh,
just it's like from the 40s, so the latch had seized up.
Oh, he's ripping the thing
And
off.
I plugged it in and it's not working, so I'll have to have a
Go
look at
easy, mate. Go easy. It's 80 years old.
yeah, I'm just when you said it was from the 40s, thinking, oh my goodness. Like, obviously, this is something you've sourced in a
Oh,
guitar specialist shop somewhere or
I'm
something like
gonna go
that.
and get it. I'm gonna go
it.
and get it so you can see it because it's pretty cool. It's only little, so you'll be able to
It's
see
yeah, I mean over the years I've collected a lot. Sometimes online, if it's somebody I trust, I'll buy it
Mhm.
online. So it's probably one of the older ones. I have a mandolin from the 20s, which is pretty beautiful, but it needs some repair just at the moment as well. So
Yeah.
when you've got so many, sometimes they sit in the case, especially electric stuff. When you get it out, moisture's got in or something, and it's
Ooh, so for those who are only listening, not watching, you are not seeing Lizzie holding up a beautiful, really lovely guitar.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's a lap steel that sit
Very
on your lap
old
and
Gibson.
The
have a
Gibson
go.
missing a couple of strings, but I'm sure that in time they will have them. And also, so Murray, the mandolin that's from the 20s. So this is about like particular woods you're interested in, or
Heavy.
Yeah,
just
generally acoustic instruments, especially if they're, like, Gibson started as a mandolin company. So they started in the late 19th century as a mandolin company. And
I've never
so,
heard that before. There you go.
yeah, yeah. And there's certain eras that there's one style they call the Law era, LOAR, who was one of their makers. And a mandolin from the 20s that he's made could be worth 50 grand.
Right.
That's a
So
lot of
so
clay.
it's yeah, but mine wasn't. Mine much more reasonably priced, but yeah, just some of them. I've also got a beautiful Martin acoustic guitar from the 40s. It's post-war. again, pre-war's worth about 10 times as much. So,
Right. Yeah.
but it's beautiful, and it's one that a Nashville session guy used. He played on Charlie Rich's records and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I've actually got a list of the songs that he played it on. So, and it's gorgeous. I use that recording. It doesn't usually leave the house except to go to the
Yeah.
studio. But yeah.
I can
Famous
So,
voice.
understand why.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. They're precious. A lot of these things are
It's
precious.
funny when you've grown up listening to music, and we found this out when we recorded at Sun and Royal Studios, especially the voices of the instruments on those tracks usually came from the studio and stayed in the studio,
Right.
especially if it's keys,
Yeah,
Hammonds
Hammond
or
organs.
big
Yeah,
organs. And funniest thing happens when you go to those studios and you play a few notes or on that organ because your body remembers hearing those
Right.
voices because it's specific, and you
Mhm.
go, oh wow, like it's kind of like hearing the voice of a friend you hadn't heard for a long time, but you heard it while your musical DNA is
on an Al
forming.
Green record.
Yeah, on an Al Green record. But the sound of sun too, being in that room, just hearing
Yeah,
the
the room's
sound
got
of the
its
room.
own
For
sound.
me, as an Elvis freak, I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Like it really sound for us is, it's pretty exciting stuff, really.
Well, I think that's because humans do respond to tone. It's partly why the singing voice is so important, and it's not necessarily anything we can articulate, but yet we can feel it, as you said, Lizzie. You feel it in your body when the tone is
Absolutely.
resonating in a certain
Yeah,
way.
Yes, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, last question, well, because I've had you talking for a while, is about the future. So you mentioned other songs. So, are you planning, like, have you planned releases already, or are you just thinking you'll feel what's going to be the next right song to release?
We have quite a few songs up our sleeves, and some of them are just sitting there at the moment. Someone asked us the other day, "Are you going to do a Mack and Cook album?" We both went, it's a lot of work doing a whole album. I
I think we
think,
wouldn't do it in one go, but we've kind of been doing them a song at a time, and then when we've got them all together, we could release it as an album. Mm.
we'll see. We might end up doing a few more, live, recording some live. We haven't done a live album yet.
Okay.
So, we'll see. But there's plenty up the
Yeah,
sleeve. They're just sitting there waiting at the moment because it's going to be a bit of a busy year and lots of travel. But
Yeah.
when we get to
it's
that
always
rocking
busy.
chair, that elusive rocking chair. So
Yes, when
yeah,
you're
also
retired in
I
inverted commas.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I will
think
let
it's
you retire.
important.
For the
I will
It's
let you
evening.
retire for the evening, and thank you very much for answering my questions. I will let you go. And happy travels, happy touring. I hope it all goes
Thank
very
you,
Thank you
well.
so
Sophie.
much.
Yeah,
I
lovely
hope you
talking
have
to
some
you.
funny tires and have the wind at our sails.